Hello guys, welcome to the Wizard of Oz art crawl. So there's going to be tons of great artists, and I'll put the directions in the description box and in the iCard so you can see all the fabulous Wizard of Oz inspired art that's happening right now. I am working on the angry trees. That part of the movie of the Wizard of Oz always made me just laugh so hard. So when it was available, I definitely wanted to try. Here I am working on a piece of poster board that I got from the dollar store, and I am adhering some book paper to it just to create a sturdier base and a beautiful background for my piece. So it's great to work on poster board. I didn't have any canvas, but poster board works great, and you can frame it, which is awesome, and no one's any the wiser if you so desire. Here I am just using some gesso, and I did let the first level dry first, the first layer dry of the book papers, and I am adding some gesso. I'm doing it quite heavy because the orange poster board did want to show through a little bit. And here I'm just taking my pencil and I'm deciding where I'm going to put things. So I'm drawing a tree, and I'm drawing a little place in the middle where I want to separate the grass from a road, basically. But I kind of couldn't figure out in my head what I wanted to do, or the scale of the tree. Here I'm just adding some blue paint, and I'm going to do a few shades of blue, and then I'm adding some green, and again I'm going to do a couple shades of green, and that's acrylic Americana paint. I think that is olive green is the color of that one. And I'm applying it on the top and on the bottom, and I'm wiping it back a little bit because I want my tree to actually be on the grass or on the green part. And the white part you see is going to be the yellow brick road, and I'm going to treat that in a few seconds here, but I'm just trying to get my colors right so it looks good to me. And now I'm adhering some gesso. I'm just using my fingers to scrape it on. I really didn't want this to be a traditional painting. I wanted it to be a mixed media piece, so I'm adding tons and tons of layers to this piece, and I put it on the green even. And now I'm using my Deco Arts Mixed Media Misters, and I'm just using a piece of paper to make sure that the green doesn't go, or the blue doesn't go where I don't want it to go. And I use blue and green. Then I am adding a little bit more gesso with a palette knife this time, and then I am using a Deco Art stencil in a lighter blue just to break up that stenciling a little bit. And then I am taking modeling paste, and I'm using this stencil from Walmart to scrape that through the stencil because I really wanted a three-dimensional yellow brick road. And that's one of the favorite parts of this piece for me. I mean, it was a hard piece, but I fell in love with it at the end. And I let both sides dry, and then I did the middle part. And I didn't show you that, but that's what I did. And then I'm taking a whiter from Deco Arts again, and I am adding that to separate the grass. And now I'm using modeling paste to make the roots of my trees, and I'm going to make a tree shape. I'm going to add branches and kind of make the base of my tree. Those were supposed to be arms, but I ended up forgetting that they were supposed to be arms, so I ended up painting over them and just making them a part of the tree. But I love the way it turned out. And now I am using I'm using a paper clip to scrape out the eyes and the mouth in my tree, because they're talking trees, so which is really fun. So I'm scraping that out. And that did take a little while, but you know, you just take your time and you want things to look a certain way, so it's good. And I did have to let this modeling paste dry for a long time, and I needed more roots, so I added those in for the tree. So it did take 24 hours. This was definitely not a fast piece, but it worked out great in the end. I just loved it. So now I am taking my book page and my mixed media mixers, which one is clogged because I didn't clean it out well, and I'm adding it to book paper, and those are going to be my leaves. So I'm doing some splatters of black paint, and then I'm cutting out a leaf shape. Tons of them. I think I had like 50. And then here I'm treating the yellow brick road because the modeling paste has dried. So I'm using a really bright yellow color, again from Americana, and then I'm going to use this antique gold color, and I think that's Craft Smart paint that I'm going to use for the second color. You'll see it in a second. And I really don't ever use that color, but it was perfect for this. And it's like a yellowy gold. It's really pretty, actually. I just never really find an application for it. But it was perfect for this. Because it added like a gold tone, but then it had a little bit of yellow too. So it was perfect. And then I'm going to add some gold acrylic paint to that too. I'm just going to scrape it up just because I want that texture from the modeling paste to pop up. But I love my yellow brick road. And now I am going to use 4 shades of brown for my tree. And I start with the lightest and then I get, you know, darker and darker. So I use the terracotta first, then I use the Americana milk chocolate, and then I use dark chocolate Americana, and then I use a metallic rich espresso. And I was looking, you know, at the color of my trees and my yard, and I see that they're not just one shade of brown. There's like lots of different shades of brown. And that helps me a lot because I'm not really, you know, I didn't go to art school or anything like that. But I think if you look at something and you are inspired by it, that you begin to see things maybe that you wouldn't see before. So that helps me a lot, like when I'm doing flowers or anything like that, is actually to see how they are in nature. And this is that beautiful metallic color. So it just adds a little bit of shine. And I will add some gold metallic paint too. But yeah, and that part took a while, and like I said, make sure that your modeling paste is dry first. Yes, but it was fun, and he is a super duper tree. It was a lot of fun to paint him. And the reason why I'm telling you all the name of the products is because you guys ask me all the time. So now I am using some black acrylic paint, again Americana, and I am going to make kind of like, I wanted to make a place in the eyes so that they had depth, so I added black paint, the parts that I scraped out the modeling paste on, and it actually gives it an effect that it has, you know, a really deep and gray face into the tree. So it's great. And then I'm adding some white gesso just to do some highlights in my tree, and I'll add some brown to that in a second. Then I am going to use a stencil brush to add my olive green color, and I wanted a soft look to the tree. I didn't want it to be harsh, so that's why I'm using a stencil brush. And I brushed over the branches and everything. But that's okay. I made sure some of them showed out a little bit too. But it's great. I love the shape of the tree. And I'm going to add a darker green now. And that is the antique green. And I think that's the trick in art, is that you want to add a couple tones of a color. Like, don't just use one color, use lots of tones. And it's so beautiful. It adds lots of shadows and depth to your art. And now I'm going to add some gesso just to lighten it up in spots, and I am using my fingers to kind of blend it in. And I have these apple brads, which I was so happy that I found. First, like, I went to Michael's, it was crazy, and I couldn't find these discontinued apple buttons that they had. But I did find these brad at Affordable Scrapbooking, which is a local store in Colorado, who are super awesome, and they happen to have 2 types of apples. So the big ones are brad and the small ones are clay. So I was so happy. And I'm using my Decals Arts Liquid Gold. It's a sealer that you can use to seal your work, kind of like a glossy accents. But you can also use it as a glue, just like glossy accents too. So it's great if you have to adhere, you know, things that can fall off pretty easily with regular glue. So I use it a lot in this application too. And it's great. They're not going to go anywhere. And I did have to make a couple of trees fall off from the tree. Just like when Dorothy was pulling at them, and yeah, I'm sure some dropped. And here I'm using a metallic luster, and I believe that one's called Gold Rush, but I did use the Ice Espresso too. And again, just to get into those nooks and crannies. Like, if you look at the tree close, there's so many different shades of brown and gold in the tree. So, again, to add depth. So it's great. And I did add a little bit of that luster to my yellow brick road too. And now I am adding my leaves. And as you see, it really did need the leaves. That helped a lot. So I just used my Deco Page glue again and adhered them. Yeah, and I am going to outline those in a second. But I wait for them to dry and then I outline them. And that really makes it pop. Again, my tree has more dimension. It's not just paint because it has the leaves. So I always think about that as how can I add even more, you know, to a piece of art. So it's great. Yep, and I just randomly put them down. I'm going to put some at the bottom of the tree. You'll see. Yep, so that they'll fall too. And I was going to put Dorothy in this piece, but I really wanted to be true to the character that I had selected. And these portion, what I'm doing is I'm taking a close look at my tree because I think I added too much gold of the metallic luster, so I'm bringing it really close to my face and seeing the places where I want some more paint. So sorry you can't see that part, but I will explain to you what I'm doing. Okay, now I am taking my oil pastel and I am going to create a boulder, which is good. And I know that I say that word wrong. That's the way I say it. And I love the texture of oil pastel. I just love how smudgy it is. It just is so beautiful and creamy. And I am going to use a green one for the tree, just to add a shadow and you get that creamy kind of look to it. So I just randomly use 2 colors of green oil pastel and add that to my tree. And again, I think that it just adds something to it. And then I'm going to take my black Sharpie and I'm going to outline my leaves and add some veins to them too. Yeah, so this was a super fun project. I really enjoyed it, and I've seen some of the art of the other artists. You're going to be blown away by the level of creativity and just the level of art. It's amazing. It totally blew me away. So I hope you really go check them out. There'll be links in this video and there'll be an iCard too with a playlist that you can click on too. But you can just do the links in my video and just check all of them out. All of us picked characters from The Wizard of Oz. So it's super fun. I love The Wizard of Oz. It's such a great movie for so many reasons. The characters are so rich, so it's beautiful. It's definitely a movie that delighted me. And here I just printed out a quote, my favorite quote from The Wizard of Oz, on a piece of printer paper on my home printer. And it says, "You've always had the power, my dear. You've had it all along." And it's from Glinda the Good Witch. That's my favorite quote, even though it's hard to pick from The Wizard of Oz, but that's my favorite one. And I'm just going to attach that too. And I'm going to use my Stabilo All pencil and my DIY water brush, which is really a Crayola mess-free watercolor brush, but it works really, really well, and it's always moist. Hi guys, so it's all finished, so I kind of wanted to give you a close-up. I'm going to move this tissue paper that I have right here of how it turned out, which I love. So it was definitely like not an easy project for me to do, but I'm super excited about the way that it came out. I love my little angry tree, which is great, and it was a super fun project, and I was going crazy because I had seen these apple buttons at Michael's, but I could not find them. Like, they discontinued them or something. So, but thank goodness for affordable scrapbooking in Colorado, and they happen to have these apples, 2 kinds. So these are like made from clay. And they had a whole little bag of them. I don't know what you would use them for, but they're like all these little skull shapes, and they had apples in them. And then these are apple brad. So I was so lucky to find them. I mean, it just wouldn't have turned out the same if it was not for those little apples. But I love the way it turned out. And the quote says, "You always had the power, my dear. You had it all along." And that's from Glinda, the Good Witch. And I just have always loved that quote. I mean, I love lots of quotes from The Wizard of Oz, but I thought it was great. And this part of the movie always made me laugh with the angry tree. So, so hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I did mean to give him arms, but I didn't think about kind of the composition of where the face was, and then his arms would probably be down here, but I'm okay with it. These were going to be like the arms right here, but it just didn't work out, and I kind of went with the flow, and I'm okay with that. Sometimes that happens when you're creating something. So please be sure to check out all the artists. This has so much texture. I wish that you could see, and I got to use so much of the beautiful Deco Arts products that I'm blessed, you know, to be able to use all the time, and I got to experiment, so I'm super excited about that. And it just has so much texture. It's just awesome. I love filling it, so it's fun. Okay, guys, so make sure you check out the other artists, and thank you so much for coming to visit me. And don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and to subscribe if you haven't. We have lots of fun on this channel, and I love comments, so tell me what you think of my angry apple tree. Okay, I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.